Johnny Depp has been a staple of Hollywood since 1984 and has, over an almost 40-year-long career, worn a dozen notable faces. Depp didn't start out wanting to be an actor. He wanted to be a musician. A meeting with Nicolas Cage changed all that.
Nick Cage said, why don't you meet my agent, because I think you're an actor. I think you could be an actor.
Depp listened, securing his first role in Wes Craven's 1984 classic, A Nightmare on Elm Street. The movie was a critical and commercial success and has had a long, enduring legacy. In the beginning, film was a way to support his music career, something that helped pay the bills. Eventually, though, he kept getting deeper into it. He had a small role in Oliver Stone's Platoon, but followed that up with 21 Jump Street. It was a popular TV show that lasted 5 seasons, with Depp playing the lead and undercover police officer Tom Hansen Jr. for 4 of them. This was a double-edged sword for Depp. On one hand, it provided financial security, made him a star, and helped set him up for the successful decades that followed. On the other, he felt as though it stifled him. And then again, doing the same part for 80 episodes over 4 years can bore anyone. It might have actually been a boon to Depp. Part of the reason he's been able to play such a wide, interesting range of characters is because he casts a wide net, which might be because of his experience on 21 Jump Street. Whatever the case, the 90s were a phenomenal decade for him. Unconcerned with box office performance, he chose roles that struck him as interesting, and it resulted in some of his best work to date. 1990's Edward Scissorhands, 1993's Benny and June, 1993's What's Eating Gilbert Grape, which helped introduce the world to Leonardo DiCaprio, 1994's Ed Wood, 1995's Don Juan Marco, 1995's Dead Man, 1997's Donnie Brasco, 1998's Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas, 1999's Sleepy Hollow, and 2000's masterpiece Chocolat. Depp traversed a dozen genres in as many movies and played a variety of roles. Not all of the movies were successful, but Depp himself usually earned praise for his roles and his chameleonic nature. After a decade of indies, Depp made a franchise play. He took the lead role as Captain Jack Sparrow in 2003's Pirates of the Caribbean: The Curse of the Black Pearl. The film was a massive critical and commercial success, grossing $654 million on a budget of $140 million, establishing a new major franchise and earning Depp the first of 3 nominations for Best Actor at the Academy Awards. Though he didn't win, he would earn a SAG Award for Best Actor for Jack Sparrow. He linked up with Robert Rodriguez for his next film, Once Upon a Time in Mexico, which was well received critically and commercially. 2004's Secret Window and Finding Neverland, and 2005's Charlie and the Chocolate Factory were similar successes. In 2005, he also did his first animated film, Tim Burton's Corpse Bride, also a critical and commercial success. 2007's Sweeney Todd earned Depp another Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, though the win still eluded him. His role as John Dillinger in 2009's Public Enemies won him personal acclaim, with Roger Ebert saying, quote, "This Johnny Depp performance is something else. For once, an actor playing a gangster does not seem to base his performance on movies he has seen. He starts cold. He plays Dillinger as a fact," end quote. Even excluding the obvious successes of the other 2 Pirates of the Caribbean movies released in the 2000s, Dead Man's Chest and At World's End, the decade represented a great run for Depp. His movies were usually either commercially or critically successful, and he had a sleeper billion-dollar hit in 2010's Alice in Wonderland. And again, he donned several different faces across genres, though, as is often the case, he returned to collaborations that worked, namely Pirates of the Caribbean and his work with Tim Burton. 2011's Ringo was another animated critical and commercial success, while On Stranger Tides continued Pirates' successful streak. By 2012, Depp was the world's highest-paid actor, pulling $75 million in a single year. The same year, he appeared in a cameo for the 21 Jump Street movie. But, starting with 2012's Dark Shadows, Depp started to have a slump, something that most actors will eventually face. He still had several massive successes, but none of them approached his work on the first 4 Pirates of the Caribbean movies and the first Alice in Wonderland. That's one issue with setting a high watermark so high. If you start coming up short, studios will be quick to drop you. Despite having $3 billion movies and one movie that almost hit $1 billion, a string of high-budget failures, namely 2012's Dark Shadows, 2013's The Lone Ranger, 2014's Transcendence, and 2016's Alice Through the Looking Glass, soured studios on Depp. That's not to say that it was all bad. 2015's Black Mass, where Depp played Whitey Bulger, won him personal acclaim. 2017's Murder on the Orient Express was a critical and commercial hit. And Dead Men Tell No Tales turned a profit despite negative reviews. Ongoing issues in Depp's personal life, particularly allegations of domestic abuse by actress Amber Heard, and several lawsuits contributed to his career downturn. His last big-budget movie was 2018's Fantastic Beasts: The Crimes of Grindelwald, which, despite likely turning a profit, did worse than the previous installation, something that did not bode well for the sequel, which flopped. His personal issues contributed to negative perception of the film. People were lambasted for working with them or appearing to work with them. Warner Brothers had asked him to resign from The Secrets of Dumbledore. Disney announced they would no longer feature Captain Jack Sparrow in future Pirates of the Caribbean movies. And, as The Hollywood Reporter said, Depp was radioactive and persona non grata in the film industry. Despite grossing more than $10 billion at the box office, studios did not want to work with them anymore. Plenty of people, however, still want to see him. An online petition to get him back as Captain Jack Sparrow got more than 500,000 signatures, and he's still doing movies. Maybe due to studios not wanting to hire him, Depp is directing and producing his next film, Modi, a biopic about Italian artist Amedeo Modigliani. Whether or not he'll wear more faces for the big screen remains to be seen.